I want to tell you a story. It's actually the story of Kenya, but I want to tell it through monuments. So you come into Nairobi and you're wondering, okay, what's this country all about? Who are they? So you begin at 1900, and what happened is that the Europeans were very interested in Africa. There was something called a scramble for Africa. So when they sat at that meeting, the guy from the UK, I think he took a pencil, I'm imagining, and he said, this will be my territory. Now, that area on the map, it had so many ethnicities. They were not related, neither were they enemies, but they were not one nation. So there they were, and you see, the king in the United Kingdom wanted them to be one. So what did he do? They put up a nice medium-sized sculpture of him, and they laid it out in a city square. You know, he stands there with his feet apart, you know, looking out. Here I am, your majesty. And then we flip the page, again you'll go to another monarch, this time a smaller one, his son, George VI. What we built for him was a fountain, and it's just at the end of where City Square, the edge of City Square. So his father is up here and he's down here. Peoples are not very happy to be colonized. So by 1963, they said enough. We're not British anymore. The Union Jack will come down, and after that, the Kenyan flag will go up to symbolize that now British rule is no longer there. We are independent. Now the same happened to the monuments. We remove King George, his son as well. We put them away. I don't know where we put them. I was not born then, but I haven't found them in the museum in Kenya. So I suppose they are somewhere in the UK. So we put them aside, and then who do we put up? The Prime Minister, he became president a year later, Jomo Kenyatta. So the way he appeared when he came from prison, he had been imprisoned, in a bush jacket, holding the fly whisk, he would hold it and say, Harambe! So when you look at the monument, you can almost hear him. Okay, that would be one whole page which would have to look at, hear the voice of Kenyatta, and continue. But then you don't stay on the same note. So if you flip the page again, 10 years on, 1973, we decided to erect another statue of Jomo Kenyatta. And this time he's dressed properly, in very regal clothes. He's wearing his robes. He's actually dressed as a vice chancellor of the university, but he's also dressed like a proper king, you'd say, of the country. And he's on a pedestal in the exact same spot where King George was. So he sits there, looking out, you know, like a grandfather, the grand old man of Africa. And you know, to go to that monument, there's a little walk. And when children come, school parties always come as part of their history and civics class. They come to see the parliament. And then from there, they walk down and they look up at the president. Here is the founder of this country, President Jomo Kenyatta. Nobody lives forever. So Jomo Kenyatta died, the nation started a new chapter. You know who became president? Daniel Arap Moi. Many people didn't think he was going to be president for long, but history proved them wrong. He was president for 24 years, leave alone the 15 years of Kenyatta, 24 long years. Now, the monuments of this president are a bit interesting. You see, he experienced a coup. After 5 years in power, some people wanted to take over the government, but he put down the coup. It didn't last too long, thank God. The only thing is that it made him realize how insecure he was, and he was never sure of the loyalty of the people of Kenya. The fear he felt, you can see it in his monuments. Because a year after that, he put up a monument that is crying out for peace, love, and unity. So you have this beautiful fountain. It has 3 arms. You know, the concrete is bent very well, and one wing says peace, the other one says love, the third one says unity. Well, I don't think if you live through a coup, it doesn't exactly tell you that there's peace, love, and unity. So probably it was aspirational. It's what he was hoping for. Instead of being in City Square next to Kenyatta's, because he's following his footsteps, it's put at the side. I think President Moi was not very sure about our loyalty, so he placed it a bit, you know, when you don't want to intrude, you put something at the corner, at the wall. That's where it is. But to be fair to the president, at the very same time, he put up a huge monument. I mean, by huge, I mean 33 meters tall. But then that one is way outside the city. You have to get into a car, drive out, go to Langata Road, and then, oh, this is the Independence Monument. And in another 5 years, now he decided to put up the monument. It's actually called the Nyayo Monument. And this monument, it is not very tall, but it's massive. It's monumental. It's huge. It is poof. It sits on the land heavily. And it's a mountain, Mount Kenya. At the top, there's a peak there. Then there's the fist of President Moi sticks out. He juts up there with his fimbo, that baton that he carries. For the president to come and place himself there, it's as if he was thinking, you Kikuyus, I am going to be your president, whether you like it or not. At least that's how some people read it. And there was a bit of noise in the press. Some said, why do we have this monument? Oh, the money could have been used for something else. We're just spending money on monuments and I don't know what, and standard of living is not improving, but the monument is there. That was the end of Moi's era. And a democratically elected president took over. That was Mwai Kibaki. The interesting thing is, when the third president came, you know, instead of placing his monuments where Moi had placed his, no. He said, let's go back again to City Square, where Kenyatta's monuments are, where the monuments of the British were. Let's go back there. We have unfinished business. We need to sort it out. The Mau Mau are seen as a liberation movement. They fought. They gave their life for the independence of Kenya. But then they were not rewarded. You know, life is not very fair. They did not get the land that they were fighting for. Other people who perhaps had collaborated with the British are the ones who inherited the fruits of independence. He commissioned a monument to Dedan Kimathi, who was the Mau Mau leader. He died in 1957. So many years later, in 2007, that's when a monument is being put up for him. But now you have another problem. Kenya does not belong to one ethnic group. We are over 40 ethnic communities. So it's only fair that the next monument was to a leader who did not come from the same ethnic community. This time we looked for somebody from the Luo community, Tom Mboya. Some people say he would have been the next president. I don't know if that's the reason why he was killed, but he was shot down in the middle of the street in broad daylight, and where he was shot down, close by, that's where we placed his monument. Well, the only other thing I can add is that those who are in City Square, they tell the story about themselves. You can see the features of their face in those monuments. You look and you see, that is Mzee Kenyatta, that is Kimathi, and this is Tom Mboya. The ones that are outside City Square, they invoke an ideology, peace, love, unity, Nyayo philosophy. They speak in a different language, not in the direct language of first person singular. I am your president, I died for Mau Mau, I fought for the country. No. They have a different language.